Hello and welcome to Aging Well. My name is Nathan Lamb. I'm Director of Community Relations and Outreach for Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services. With me today is our awesome guest, Erica Farrell, the Associate Director of the Aging Information Center at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services. Great to have you here.
Thanks, Nathan. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Aging Well really focuses on issues and concerns that are of interest to older adults and people with disabilities. So I think it's really awesome that you're on the show today because the Aging Information Center is such a great way for people to access the many services and sources of information we have at the agency. So I'm really thrilled you're here to have this discussion with me. So I guess to start, for those who aren't familiar, can you tell me a little bit about what the Aging Information Center is?
Sure. So how I like to think about the Aging Information Center is it really has two primary functions. The first function is called Information Referral, or INR. And the second function is that there are several programs that we have social workers work with people in the field. And so the INR piece is very much, accessing resources, talking with people on the phone about resources. And then the referral piece is a little different, or the program piece is a little different, where they're working directly with people.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to discussing both with you. Can we start with the info and referral aspect first? Tell me a little bit about how that goes when people are receiving these information and referral systems, services.
Sure. So we do get a lot of callers from the community, either older adults or persons with disabilities who are younger, caregivers, professionals. They all call up either with questions about resources that we can give them information about and give them phone numbers or websites to go to. And we can also give them information about different programs that we have at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services. And sometimes that does result in a referral to one of those programs. But yeah, the INR piece of the work we do is very much, we want to provide people with the information that they need and the resources that they're looking for. We're very committed to that.
So it's a free resource.
It's free.
Anyone in the community can call.
That's right.
And one of the things I really like about this program, from having seen it from afar, is that people who call don't really need to know which program they need. It's more, I could use some help in this area, I could use some information in this area. Is that pretty much?
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. Sometimes people do call knowing exactly what they're looking for. They might say, I need home care services, or I'm interested in the adult family care program. But a lot of people call up and they say, I think I need some help, or I think mom or dad might need some help. And, from there we do have really well-trained information referral specialists who then assess people. They'll ask questions in order to provide people with information that seems like will be of most use for them and give them options. That's the whole point. So we're not necessarily recommending something directly. We're giving people options and information so that they can then make their own decision about what might work best for them.
Kind of a one-stop shop for
Yeah.
when you need information.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned two different types of referrals. There's basically the ones where you can identify somebody who's a fit for one of our programs at the agency, and we have a lot of programs that help people remain independent, healthy in their homes. And then there's also external referrals. Can you give me an example of some of the external referrals that you might come across?
Yeah, so we definitely have, a lot of services at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services that people might opt into, but, we aren't experts in everything. And so I think we refer externally to legal services a lot. Sometimes transportation services, if somebody doesn't need, home care service, transportation can be a part of that. But if they aren't looking for other services, they just want to ride to the grocery store and do their own shopping, we might refer to one of the community resources like Door to Door. So those are some big ones. Housing is another, we might get callers calling about housing. Unfortunately, we're not housing experts, so we might refer to another resource that we think will be most useful for people to access and get the information that they want.
And the primary topics that people call up to ask about, what are some of those?
Yeah, so I think primarily a lot of people do call about help in the home, which sometimes, like I said, might result in a home care referral. They might be calling, it might be a caregiver calling about one of the programs that they can get paid, like a paid stipend for caring for somebody that, a grandfather, grandmother in the home, so that might be an AFC referral. So lots of questions about how to get help in the home. We get a lot of questions about transportation resources. Another really big one is health insurance. People, turning 65, new to Medicare, public benefits, MassHealth, and how those interact and can provide coverage for somebody who's aging.
And if somebody is getting ready to apply for MassHealth, is that something where you can refer them to guidance or help with those things?
Yeah, absolutely. We do assist people quite a bit with MassHealth applications. Depending on the level of need that they might have, we also refer out for that type of assistance, depending on whether we think that they're capable of then accessing the help that they need. It is a huge need in the community, or what we've noticed is that that's something people are calling up about a lot. But we do have people who can guide people over the phone, answer questions about those applications. They can also meet one-on-one if they have more in-depth questions. And sometimes that also might result in a referral to legal services if people do have homes or assets. That's something to consider when applying for MassHealth.
Absolutely. In terms of when people are going to call the information center, they think they might get referred to a program. Does this take a fair amount of time? About how much of a time investment are we looking at here? Is this 5 minutes and done, or 15 minutes? You probably should have the driver's license and the tax documents there. Or what's that look like usually?
Sure. I would say for most of our programs, they don't really need to have any of those important documents out in front of them. The time that it takes probably depends on how much information that they're looking for, and the assessment of the INR specialist, so how many questions that they're asking before they opt into a program. So they might be talking with someone for 10 or 15 minutes about the different options, and then at that point the person might say, I am interested in the AFC program, and at that point the INR specialist would then pull out our referral form and then go through, a pretty set of questions that shouldn't take too long. And it's basic information they're going to want to have. Date of birth of the person being referred, their address, obviously name is important. And we do ask a number of other questions that are helpful to have at the point of referral, but aren't always necessary. But the INR specialist would always let someone know that, if they don't have some piece of information, that it's all right, or whether they absolutely needed to make the referral.
You used a word several times that I really liked, which was options. This whole philosophy that we have at the agency about giving people information, letting them know what options are available to them, and then helping support whatever decisions they make. And it sounds like the approach that you guys have there at the Aging Information Center is all about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's really important for people to know too is that, we might refer people to different resources, and if, one of those resources turns out to not be a good fit, doesn't meet their needs, we absolutely would want people to call back and let us know that, they're actually still looking for something, and we'll do our best to try to find something else that fits for them. I think that's really important for, us as INR specialists. We want to make sure that people are accessing and have and are connected with the places or resources that they need to be connected with.
You're there to help.
Yeah.
That's really excellent. Well, I think that's all for our first segment. So I guess we'll be back in a moment.